Okay, so now that we've got Illustrator open, you can see that I've created a document where I'm starting to put all of my elements together. I've got my sketch placed here on the front, and from Illustrator, I've added a block of gray color here, a gray rectangle to fill that up. I've added text for the title, text for the author, and a couple of other things to make it look like an actual book cover. Um, so this is if your book cover was laid out flat before it was folded and wrapped around the book. So that's how we have to design is if that whole project was laid out flat before it was folded. And this book cover, of course, would have the actual front cover on the right side. So as you fold it, this would be the back of the book, this would be the spine, and this would be the front cover. So these are the minimal elements that I want you guys to have on your book cover. Uh, the image you've illustrated, title, author, repeating the title and the author on the spine, a picture of the author. So when you get a picture, you can take a picture of yourself or take a picture of somebody else. I don't really care, and then place that in here, and then type something, make something up about the author. Okay, and you want a section about the book. You'll want to maybe make up a logo for the publisher as well, and then make up a UPC SKU for the just to make it look, a little more real. All right. Now, when you're designing, just a couple of things about design. You've got clean design, minimal design, and you've got more complex design. Maybe it's a little bit busier or more complex. Simple and clean design that is good is not plain. Okay, there's a difference, and you'll learn that as you become better. But plain means it looks too ordinary. Even though there are minimal elements on there, it's still not done very creatively, and maybe things are spaced uh, illogically. They don't look spaced very well. Okay, they just like look thrown on. So if you do a simple design, make sure it looks clean and make sure it looks good, not just plain. Um, and I know that sounds a little harsh or a little hard to understand right now, but maybe you can do a little bit of research on that. Then there's more complex design. You can add a lot more shapes and a lot more colors, but don't let it start to get too busy or messy. Okay, so there's more complex design, um, but then there's messy and busy. Okay, so there's things you have to learn as you become a better designer to make things look orderly or good, whether they're complex or whether they're simple. Now, uh, you can use elements and principles of design to help with that. So you can use repetition, balance, pattern. Uh, you can use hierarchy, color, contrast. In fact, I encourage you to research that on the internet, the visual elements and principles of art and design. And as you incorporate those elements of repetition, design, and contrast, and hierarchy, and scale, um, and white space, and proximity, all of those things are going to make your design look clean or complex or make it go together well without looking messy or plain. Okay, so to me, this is kind of a clean design. If you wanted it to be more complex, you could basically create more textures and start, putting those in there. And that's why I kind of just threw some circles together. You could also take some rectangles. Just start creating textures. You could create some sort of patterns in there. I'm going to throw this in the back here, and then I'm just kind of going crazy, adding shapes and textures. And I encourage you guys to do the same thing. Go a little crazy. I mean, you can always save as and create a copy of your original file. And then if you don't like it, go back to your original. This is Introduction to Graphic Design. So I encourage you to be a little more daring and try new things. But if it ends up turning out kind of whacked, then go back to your original design and start over again. Okay, so here we've added some, some different textures. Now, on this Illustrator file, everything that shows up in this artboard is what's going to print. Everything out here basically is just set aside, or it's going to be cut off when it's trimmed. Okay, that's what I like about Illustrator. This background here is more like your table that you're working on. And then this area here, this artboard, is like your actual sheet of paper or your canvas where you're putting everything down that's going to be used. Okay, if you don't like it, you can just move it off of the canvas. And then if you want to use it again, you can bring it back. Or maybe you just want to use a little piece of it, so you'll just bring a little piece of it on there. Okay, so just remember, everything off the edges of the artboard are not going to be in your design. All right, so that's a quick overview of what I want you guys to do for your book cover. So let's take a second and set it up.